Number 13, we talked about it a little bit already. Here's the vampire theme again. Lost Boys. Specifically horror-wise, not a lot of horror in it. There's a scene when the Frog brothers, Edgar and Allan Frog, go down into the caves and they're hanging upside. The vampires are hanging upside down by their feet,
and they stab the smallest one, and then the others wake up.
Yeah, that was rough. That was scary. Of course, the reveal at the end. I didn't call me naive. I did not see that one coming.
I
the
didn't
head
see
vampire.
it coming. The first, and I certainly didn't see, spoiler alert if you haven't seen but I also did not see Grandpa come flying in and save the day and then tell him, yeah, Santa Carla really does have a vampire problem. Like he knew all along and just didn't tell anybody.
I love Santa Carla, except for one thing, all the goddamn vampires. And the other classic quote, me and my brother, when the little brother's coming down the stairs, he goes, "My own brother, a goddamn shit-sucking vampire. You wait till Mom finds out." Oh God. Okay.
Supposedly they are remaking it, and I saw.
Don't mess with perfection.
This is going to sound horrible, but I'll give it a shot. But I saw like the list and pictures of all the cast members, and they all just look so, compared to like Kiefer Sutherland and Jason Patrick,
effeminate.
They look like very effeminate little wimps. I'm like, that's not going to play off very well. I'm going to get a lot of hate for saying that, but compared to the Gen X version, and we're both Gen X, compared to the Gen X version of that, it's going to be just, well, I'll give it a shot. But
yeah, the Anne Rice vampires, they're very, what's the word where, androgynous.
Yeah.
Modern vampires, Twilight, very androgynous. Yeah.
Yeah, but I could make a case that the Twilight vampires, I mean, but these just look, it's not even the androgynous part that's so bad.
Not threatening.
They look wimpy.
Yeah.
Like I could take them. Like I could take them all. It's just like, they're not, unless they have hella makeup or hella CGI, they don't look very scary. I'll leave it at that. Maybe I shouldn't have said the other part, but it's just, I'm such a fan of the original.
Don't censor yourself on your own show, Tracy.
But I'm just such a fan of the original. Why remake? You don't need to remake every classic. Just leave it alone.
Yes. All right, your number
13.
10. No,
13.
Gosh, I'm all over the place. Yeah, 13.
13. You're gonna laugh again. Friday the 13th, Part 3. 1982.
Now, the one right before that was Friday the 13th, Part 7. And so this is Part 3. Okay.
It's because it was the first, in my opinion. First of all, there's one character in there. His name is Shelley. He's like a lawyer now, entertainment lawyer now. He got out of the acting biz. But he's such great comic relief. He makes the whole movie. And this is the first movie where Jason has his hockey mask. He wasn't, Jason was not, for spoiler alert, Jason was not the killer in the original. And in the second one, he wore a bag around his head with one eye hole cut in it. So this is the first time we see the modern idea we have of Jason with the hockey mask, with the machete, that kind of thing. And it's the first really strong final girl, in my opinion, because she gives him hell. A normal girl, not a telekinetic girl, but a girl that can, she's just throwing everything she can at him and she beats him. It was meant to be the last one. But of course they brought it back because money. But so at the end, he's supposedly dead and she took him out. And also the final girl in is Tracy Savage. This is really going to date me, but way back in the 80s, my grandmother watched a soap opera called Capital. It was about shenanigans in Washington, D.C. And she was in that show as a teenager. And I loved her character. When I saw she was in a Friday the 13th movie, I'm like, boing, it's just special to me for different reasons. And it was in 3D.
The Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, and this one, I always think I just conflate them all as, okay, it's going to be teenagers skinny dipping. The black guy dies first. People that can't run and they're totally oblivious to any. Oh, let's run into that tool shed with all the freaking Siths and garden tools all over. I mean, it just follows this tired trope, doesn't it? Or
It does, but that's what makes it so fun. I grew up with these movies. I grew up, I don't know if you well, you probably did. When you were a kid, there used to be, when it was when cable television was the height of entertainment, each region had a late night horror show that was hosted by a personality. I grew up watching Elvira, Joe Bob Briggs, Grandpa from the Munsters hosted one for Turner for TBS. And that's where I got introduced to a lot of these movies, including
Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah, including Friday the 13th.
Yep.
And I just have such fond memories of them. Like one Halloween, Joe Bob Briggs, and he played a redneck that lived in a trailer park, and he just, and he did a marathon.
I remember
of all the Friday the 13th movies through like part 8. And it would come back to him. He would always have something funny to say. He said, well, you got to give it to him. These guys made the same movie 8 times. That takes talent.
That's good. Yeah, that's about right, though.
Yeah. So it's just a funny feeling. There's no merit to the movie. It's just in my heart is,
yeah, I get it.
As a favorite.
Yeah, grab some popcorn, get some friends around, and it's one that you don't have to stay affixed on. You could talk during it, and and don't open up that window.
Yeah, and it's all practical effects. This was before CGI, and just seeing like these masters of practical effects like Tom Savini just do things with blood packets and rigging spandex across a wall to make it look like somebody's coming out. That takes real talent. Not saying that computer generated stuff isn't great, but practical effects to me are the best. And all those movies are practical effects.
Yeah. Number 12, The Ring, or originally in Japanese, Ringu. It's classic horror, jump scares. It's just why it's so high up on my list. It's just so well written. I mean, the premise is, and then of course the reveal at the end. But even throughout the movie, it's so well written. It's one that if you could hold a gun to my head for as long, it would take. It would. There's no way I could have come up with that kind of script, and that took a lot of creative talent.
Yeah. That yeah, great movie. For me, number 12 was The Hunt, 2020. Independent film. It was supposed to come out in 2018, 2019, but because of everything, it got delayed, and it came out during quarantine as, something for us very poor people to watch. But it's a horror, but it's a political satire, and it's I won't give it away, but let's just say that you have these very wealthy liberal elites kidnapping Trump supporters and conservatives and making them fight to the death.
This is the one that you recommended to me a while back. Okay, I'm writing that down again. I'm going to look at that.
But it pokes fun at both sides. It pokes out the absurdity on both the left wing and the right wing, and people on both sides of the political spectrum just wailed against it. And of course, the more controversial something is, the more I like it. And it really does give good. I mean, it's like you and I, who are centrists, moderates.
You're on one side of the center.
Like, here's the middle line. I'm here, you're here, but we're very close.
Yep.
People like us, and I think the majority of the world that are just in the middle, we can enjoy this movie because it points out the absurdities on both extreme sides.
Have you ever noticed, Tracy, as you being semi close to the center and me as well, we get accused by the extremes on both ends of being indifferent, and they confuse indifference with ambivalence. Like we're like, meh, I don't care. It's not an I don't care. Being a centrist doesn't mean you don't care. You can have strong opinions, but in my case, I won't speak for you, but in my case, some strong opinions are very left and some are very right. And so you're centrist, you don't have to be indifferent. You can be ambivalent about it too.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you can't have strong opinions.
Yeah. I get called all the time because I'm a heavily for third parties, and I'm just like, everybody's like, "Oh, you're throwing your vote away." Well, if you continue with that attitude, we're not going to, it's going to be the same thing over and over again, because the two parties we have haven't done anything for us, really.
It would have to be 4 parties. So then both votes split.
Yeah.
That's my opinion on that. We're on a tangent, but yeah.
Now let's get
Anyway,
off of it.
all right.
But The Hunt, a lot of people wouldn't
The
call it
Hunt.
horror. They would call it more horror comedy, like Shaun of the Dead and Tucker and Dale versus Evil, which is
Okay.
another great horror. You need to see that if you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Tucker and Dale versus Evil. It's a horror comedy.
Is it? Okay, I'm thinking in my head. Maybe is it? Remember the game with Sean Penn and Michael Douglas?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it kind of like that?
It's a little different. It's more like The Most Dangerous Game, if you remember that old movie. Except the liberals are hunting them and also forcing them to fight, so it's a little bit of a different take.
Wow. Okay.
And spoiler alert: the one that actually comes out on top is a centrist. It's not a
Yeah.
but
All right. Shoot. Where are we? Oh, number 11.
mhm.
Oh, you scooped me on this one too, Tracy. Texas
Sorry.
Chainsaw Massacre. No. Oh, that's great.
No, I
think
haven't
we're-
mentioned that
we're-
one.
Oh,
I haven't mentioned
you,
Texas.
I think you did. And when you said you
Oh,
almost took the
again.
quote. You took the
Yeah.
quote right out of my mouth, because on my notes here, and I can't find. Oh, the scariest movies are the ones that could actually happen, and that's why Texas Chainsaw Massacre. If you just tweaked this script, it would look like a documentary. I mean, a reenactment of real events. And you said, see, I didn't know this. Texas Chainsaw Massacre was actually based on Ed Gein.
He was one of the again supposedly inspired both Leatherface and Norman Bates in
See, yeah.
Psycho.
That makes total sense. I didn't even know that. I mean, so it was kind of loosely
Because
based
he
on
had
true
mommy
events.
because he had mommy issues too.
Yes.
I mean Ed Gein
Okay.
had mommy issues and liked to work in human art. So
And see, knowing that now, it would make it double scary to go back and watch Chainsaw Massacre.
yeah.
Ooh, okay, that's my number 11.
My number 11 is an obscure one. A lot of people don't like the 1990s because it's all teen horror, but I enjoyed it because I was a 20-something in the 90s, and you were too. So number 11 for me is Disturbing Behavior from 1998. It is one of those Scream-inspired teen movies, but this one is so scary because it's like a teen version of the Stepford Wives. It's not, there's nothing supernatural about it. It's like psychological medical horror. Basically, you have this guy that runs a medical research facility in this small town, and any teenager that's having behavioral issues, at least according to their parents, are actually kidnapped in the middle of the night, like they're being taken to a a gay therapy camp, and they're actually given a surgery where a chip is implanted in their head, and it makes them act right according to their parents. But when they get overexcited or they do anything that a normal teenager would want to do, like have sex, this chip will short circuit, and they'll just, so it's a horror, but they're kind of like Stepford Wives, but you see there's something not quite right about them.
Ooh, that's a good premise.
Yeah.
I just thought of one that's not on my list, and if I had thought of it when I was building the list, it would be easily in the top 10, probably top 5. I'll just say it now. The Others with whoever was married to Tom Cruise back then.
Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, The Others. I don't know what you just, for some reason, you reminded me of that. That was scary, great storyline, great script, and just the biggest twist you'd ever want. I love twists that just, it all comes together now. So The Others, that's okay, we'll note that as an honorable mention.
So number 10 for you.
10, Interview with the Vampire. Now, you're not going to see Bram Stoker's Dracula on here. You're not going to see Queen of the Damned, probably the best soundtrack of any movie. Great story. Aaliyah was just phenomenal in it. You're not going to see any of those, but Interview with the Vampire, Bram Stoker's Dracula with Keanu Reeves, just the cinematography is awesome. But the reason Interview with the Vampire, I think it's the kid, the little girl. She grew up. She was in Spider-Man.
God. She was in Spider-Man and Save the Last Dance. Bring It On.
In the books and in the movie, the fact that she was turned into a vampire at such a young age, and just the ramifications of immortality to begin with for all of them. Living forever as a child, though, forced to feed on human flesh. And so later on, she's still in a little child's body. She's 50, 100 years old. And then how, that dread she's got, she doesn't want to be around anymore, and she's forced to live forever, and that's pretty much what got me. And there's a lot of that's a good, definitely a horror movie.
When her and the one that had kind of become like her mom, her big sister, when they die in the light, I cried. Yes. The first time I saw that, I bawled like a baby.
I could totally see that. Yeah, great movie. And when it first came out, I was such a huge Anne Rice fan. I refused to even watch. If I saw the previews coming up, I'd plug my ears. I didn't want to know anything about it. And when I found out that Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, Antonio Banderas, all these pretty boys, I was like,
Christian Slater.
Now that's cool. I love Christian Slater, but
he took over from River Phoenix, who died.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I knew that. When I found out that Tom Cruise was going to be Lestat, Tom Cruise is about 5'3", dark-headed, totally not the right kind of. He's supposed to be permanently 25 years old. So he was the exact opposite of what I see in Lestat when I'm reading Anne Rice. Lestat's supposed to be 6'2", blonde, and 25 years old forever. And so I was pissed until I saw the movie.
He did a good job. He did a great job.
They pulled it off.
Brad Pitt was great as Louis, in my opinion. Just great. Antonio Banderas was creepy. I mean, he was creepy. He played that to the hilt. I mean,
just a phenomenal movie.
Yep.
That's mine. Okay.
All right. So my number 10 is, again, something that could really happen. In my opinion, The Purge, 2013. And I am a huge, huge fan of the entire Purge franchise. The TV show is great. I don't know why they canceled it. I love all the sequels. I have not seen the Forever Purge, which I know is supposed to be the final movie in the series. I have not seen that yet, but I'm anticipating it's going to be good. But that could really happen. In fact, what went on during quarantine with all the rioting and looting, George Floyd, it could happen. It touched me, in a way.
And people think it couldn't happen, but just one simple thing. There wasn't even a paper shortage. And we saw what happened with the toilet paper incident, worldwide.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much.
No.
There's a book called, I think it's 9 Meals. It's the total number of meals in a global catastrophe that society would have to miss out on for there to be complete collapse and just total anarchy.
9 meals,
which would be basically 3 days of starvation, and that's it. Goodbye society.
Which is so scary. Which is why we're kind of semi-preppers. Why we try to have at least a few months' food stored up that's not reliant on refrigeration and things like that. While we have guns, I mean, generator.
I used to laugh at those preppers. Conservative, you hicks, rednecks, and now I'm starting to think maybe they're onto something.
My wife, she is full on conservative. I'll tell you, she's a conservative prepper. I mean, I'm moderate. She's fully on the right, and so she's a big prepper. And but she's gotten me into it, and it's just good practice. It's being a good citizen, in my opinion, so that you don't have to participate in craziness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like The Purge, which is what legalized crime for 24 hours. Can you imagine?
Well, I mean, if what am I trying to say? If the net outcome was good, I'm not saying let's do a purge by any means, but
No.
I've often told people, if it came down to it, if it was me against the world to save my family, to keep them from starving, I would shoot my next door neighbor in the face for a can of beans.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you that straight up. And if I'm telling you that, people don't want to admit it.
Where the purge kind of veers off is that, you know, later on we realize in the sequels and in the TV show, spoiler alert, that the new founding fathers, which is a third party that rose up out of the dust of the Republicans and the Democrats, that are like ultra Tea Party kind of people, but they are environmentalists. They want to, so that's the one left wing issue that they hang on. And open borders, another left wing issue. So it's kind of an amalgamation of both parties. But their whole premise is to eliminate the poor people so that they don't have to take care of them and only let productive people be in society. And they're using the purge as a weapon to do that. And they're actually sending out vigilante teams hired by them to kill low income people. And that's what you find out in the next few movies. And so it becomes it goes from kind of a weird premise to this dystopian horror.
Yep.
Kind of like
you and me, that's where we kind of click on that, you know, that dystopian, that's scarier than any jump scare.
Yeah.
Oh, the reason I was laughing just now, my wife, she's like overly trying to be quiet. She's tiptoeing to the front door.
My wife is doing that
She's
earlier.
a nut. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Number 9, Amityville Horror. We talked about it already. The reason why this really hits home and why it's in my top 10, I visited the house, and that made it all too real for me.
I would love to.
I think it might be still there.
I would love to live in that house. I would love to live in either The Conjuring, or I would buy that and I'd live in it in a minute.
It's funny we were there in the middle of the afternoon on a weekday, and there were still tourists. And it's not a tour. You can't. I don't think you can. You could at the time. You couldn't go in it. It was still a private residence.
No, it's owned by a private family. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, tourists are walking in the yard, taking pictures when we were there. Can you imagine living in the Amityville house? If I would love to. Is it based on a true story? I don't even know.
I would open it up. It's based. Okay. I'm going to do the story of the real murder that expired it. But there was basically a son that killed his entire family, mentally ill, that killed his entire family. And there was a long drawn out trial in the 70s. And then shortly after that, Ed and Elizabeth Warren, who are these demonologists that affiliated with the Catholic Church, wrote in their book about the haunting and how they were part of the team that tried to clear the house. And they also wrote the story that would become The Conjuring 2, Annabelle, anything in that Conjuring universe, and Amityville came from their books. And so there's a real life element of a real life murder that was tragic and terrible, a family annihilator. And then there's the actual story of the haunting. So that's where it comes from.
If I remember right, when I first watched the movie, it wasn't the supernatural. It was scary, but that's not what got me. It was the bees up in the attic. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I can't even remember the scene. I have to go back and watch. Why was that so? I'm not afraid of bees, but why was that so scary to me? I got to go and watch it again now.
I feel the same way about, like, there's certain movies where bees are in it. One of them is further up on my list, and the bees were the most scary part for me too. But I'm not afraid of bees. I love bees. Yeah, bees are important to our ecological
we
system.
Get some mud daubers or some yellow and that nest is getting bigger and bigger right out the front door. And we're vegetarians, animal lovers, and we're just let them be. We'll they do their thing, we'll do ours, and we won't even remove them.
The only time I'll remove any sort of stinging insect is if they're like hornets. I'll get rid of a hornet's nest because they're aggressive, but they'll come at you. But bees, dirt daubers, yellow jackets, wasps, as long as they don't bother me, leave them be. Yeah. So my number 9 is the remake of Dawn of the Dead from 2008. With Ving Rhames and Sarah Polley, directed
year was
by
that?
Zack Snyder, 2008.
Okay.
It was the first instance of zombies running at full speed instead of zombies just lumbering along. These, like, they got slower as they were dead longer. That's how Zack Snyder explained it. But when they were first turned, they still ran and walked at full speed and still maintained some of their intelligence,
Yeah.
which made them very scary. And it's based on the 1978 George Romero's second zombie movie. After Night, there was a 10-year gap between Night and his Dawn of the Dead. But then this is the remake of his Dawn of the Dead, where they're holed up in a shopping mall.
World War Z. They're
Yeah.
so fast they're climbing up the walls and shit.
Yeah, that's Max Brooks. His zombies are terrifying. He wrote the novel World War Z.
Yeah.
He also wrote this complete zombie apocalypse survival guide, which I'm reviewing for my finale this year. But it's really just a prepper survival kit for any natural disaster. He just inserts zombies into it to make people want to read it.
I think I'm familiar with that. Tracy, there was an 80s movie. It was a comedy spoof of Night of the Living Dead or Day of the Dead. It was Night of the War.
Return of the Living Dead?
Return of the Living Dead.
That's hilarious. It's like
we watched that over as kids. We watched it over and over and over. Mostly because we were horny teenagers, and there's a lot of
sex
full frontal.
That's like Evil Dead. That's like Evil Dead campy.
But that was porn back then.
Yeah, that was the first instance of zombies eating brains. George Romero said, "I never wrote that they like to eat brains." That was Return of the Living Dead. Mine just like to eat flesh. But that was the first thing about need brains.
That's the first time. I think that might have been the first time I saw full frontal nudity and no pubic hair. I was like,
first frontal nudity for me was
when you grew up in the 70s.
Carrie was my first frontal nudity.
Oh,
and Porky's.
Oh, of course, Porky's. That's the whole movie's based around nudity. Carrie, I forget. Yeah, that's right. You're right.
Opening scene.
Yep. Oh shit. All right. We're on 8. Man, we're moving up. Okay. Yep. My favorite actor, Jeff Goldblum, The Fly. I guess it's the remake. I don't know if I've ever seen. There is an original. I have not seen
Vincent
it.
Price.
Okay. I probably need to watch that one.
It is. It's campy. It doesn't hold up as well as the Jeff Goldblum. Because
Jeff Goldblum holds up good. I just watched it a few weeks ago, as a matter of fact, and it's still great. And I love the scenes, the bar scene when the arm wrestling. That was really good. And just you can't go wrong with even Jurassic Park. You cannot go wrong with Jeff Goldblum. I love how cerebral and pensive he is, and he gets so into his character. And there's something coming out on Disney Plus. It's a series with him now, and he acts the same way when he's not acting. He's just
that's him.
He's very curious. He considers things. I don't know what it is about him, but the premise is horrifying too. The DNA splicing and
how he's slowly rotting away as he becomes a fly. It's a lot scarier than.
And as a scientist, a man of science, he thinks he's cold about it in the fact that it's just
experiment,
me dying,
but then he's slowly going insane as his brain turns to mush.
But
then
Vincent Price.
Yeah, Vincent Price. It's just a guy with an actual model of a fly's head on his head. That's what it is. It's still it's campy, but you still feel sorry for him. But Vincent Price, one of my favorite actors of all time. We should review top Vincent Price movies at some point. But the premise is really good. But Jeff Goldblum comes off very sympathetic at the end, and that's what makes it really, because you're mad at him at first. He's trying to kill Gina Davis, and then
they got married during that movie.
Yeah, because
they got married in real life.
Yeah. I didn't know that. Wow.
I think that's the movie where they got married, and then they got divorced, and she married kung fu guy, a keto guy, in the movie.
Okay.
Oh, he's a cop now. Just that guy that does Aikido and he's real stoic.
I can't think of his name.
Oh, damn it. It'll be on the screen if Tracy can think of it.
Yeah.
When you...
But what you're saying about Jeff Goldblum just being himself, I love actors that are just themselves. Like, I think Vince Vaughn just plays himself.
Samuel Jackson.
Samuel Jackson just plays himself. Lawrence Fishburne just plays himself.
Except for Blackish, he plays a character that's not really his character.
Right.
Blackish.
And Owen Wilson just plays himself.
Yeah. Which is kind of, some would say it's lazy, but if it fits, it fits. And only choose the parts that fit who you are.
Yeah. You notice they take a very specific type of role.
Oh, also Geena Davis came, for those that don't know, she came this close to qualifying in Olympic archery at one time.
I did not know that.
Interesting.
Well, you know, she was in A League of Their Own with Madonna, Rosie O'Donnell, about the, that was an awesome movie. But they said that Geena Davis and Rosie O'Donnell were actually like very primed athletes. I mean, no, Rosie's big. They said that it's obvious she had played baseball on like either a high school or college level, because they said that she could throw a ball and like the others would have to scramble to get it. And then Geena Davis, when she
I
threw
thought
a ball,
all lesbians were good at baseball.
not all of them.
Come on.
But and Geena Davis too. They said when they were actually practicing baseball, which they had to do, they said that when she cracked the bat, I mean, the ball would almost all the ways go over the fence, and that probably comes from that arm strength she had from archery.
Wow. All right, your number 8.
Get Out, 2017. Jordan Peele. It is a. I love Jordan Peele movies. I absolutely love them. Us, Get Out, both of them are my favorite. Very psychologically driven. Basically, it's the story of, again, Jordan Peele wrote it because he married a white woman, and he was so nervous about meeting her family, and the way they came. He said the way they came off as just being overly accepting to try to make him feel comfortable, it creeped him out. So that's what this whole premise is about. Of a young black man is dating a young white woman. She takes him home to meet her family, and they're just campy, over the top, trying to be accepting. But then it turns out, spoiler alert, turns out that they have a thing where they kidnap African Americans. They've developed this brain surgery where they basically switch the brain from a white person into their body, so that the white person can have the quote unquote physical, physical superiority of the African American race, but have the white brain, so that they make the ultimate human, and that the black person just becomes like this passenger in their own body. And it's just this creepy psychological horror. Stephen Root from Office Space, Milton, he's in it. And he plays
I think I'm going to put strychnine in the guacamole and burn this place down. Well, I'm glad this is so high up on your list, because I've wondered if should I watch it. Is it down with Whitey kind of movie? But okay,
no,
I'm going to watch it.
No, not at all.
Right.
He's very Jordan Peele's. I think he's kind of a middle of the road kind of guy. Like
Key and Peele are, as far as comedy duos
comedy
go,
gold, but he can write
damn.
a hell of a horror movie. The same with Us. I'll give Us an honorable mention. Not the same premise. It's about an alien race, an alternative race that lives under the ground, and they basically, everybody has a doppelganger, and they all live under the ground, and they start switching out their doppelgangers.
You made me think of Chuds and Time Machine, creatures that live under the ground.
Yeah, but they're doppelgangers. Like, everybody has a doppelganger, and the doppelgangers start coming up and kidnapping their human doppelgangers and taking their place.
Wow. And what's Kiefer's dad? The other Southern
Donald
one.
Sutherland. Donald Sutherland.
At the very end, what's that movie?
Body Snatchers, or
Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Body Snatchers.
That should be on my list too. Holy shit. Yeah, that was good.
But I highly recommend Get Out. It's not a But it's really just,
Number
it started out, he was uncomfortable meeting his now wife's family. And it was supposed to be a comedy, but then it just morphed. He got this great idea, morphed it into a horror.
Yeah, there is comedy. There are comedy elements all through it, though, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was. Okay, I'm gonna get. I want to rent that. Number 7, The Exorcist.
Mm-hmm.
The reason it's so high up is it didn't really mess my head up as a child, but the I don't know, standing at the foot of the stairs, just watching the parents at the dinner party and just peeing, and the pee hitting the hardwood floors through her nightgown. And what really got me was the demon voiceovers, where the demon's talking through her body, and how
Mm-hmm.
perfectly synced up her mouth. It was like she was talking, she was saying it, and she's spouting all these Latin phrases, and your mother sucks cock in hell, and
Oh, yeah.
oh god, oh
And
yeah,
Ellen
it was,
Bernstein did a wonderful job. Linda Blair, gets all the credit for that because she did a wonderful role. But Ellen Bernstein, the one that played the mother, she should get, I don't know if she won an Academy Award. If not, she should have. But she was just the panicky, almost
yeah,
desperate mother the whole way through. Never broke character. Just,
indeed, that's right.
and I
Well,
really
that's
like the
mine.
priests. Lots of times priests get a bad rap, but the two in that they were heroes in my opinion.
He was the hero. He jumped out the window once he
He took
got
he took the
possessed.
demon in himself and jumped
Yep,
out the
and he
window and
jumped
killed
out the
himself.
window, and I don't know if
And
that
the
kills a demon or if it floats around and finds. I don't know how that.
I don't know.
I'm sure there are Exorcist sequels. So yeah, that demon it didn't work anyway. Probably, I don't know.
But and then the older priest had a heart attack from the stress of trying to throw the demon
Hmm.
out. Remember that?
Yep. And the real scary part is there's people that actually think possession occurs, and exorcisms are still a thing in the 21st century. Welcome to Atheist Edge.
Yeah. Well, the Catholic Church has propagated that for years. Look at Ed and Lorraine Warren, the Conjuring and the Amityville. They made a fortune off of pretending to be demonologists. And either they're complete cons. This is what I say about a lot of criminals that I cover on my channel. They're either complete cons or they're completely delusional and they actually believe it. Still haven't figured out with those two yet.
Yep. And often they start out cons, and they get such a following, they start believing their own bullshit. So
Yeah.
that a lot of them start out cons and then start buying it themselves and become Edwards, the medium,
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking
spirit
about. I
medium
can't think.
guy,
John Edwards.
crossing over.
Yeah,
John Edwards, the
John
crossing
Edwards.
over. Yeah, he totally started out. It had to have been a scam at first. It's just basic cold reading. But now I firmly believe he thinks he has the gift.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't want to get too higher up on my list. M. Night Shyamalan, he thinks he has the gift too. All right.
Okay, so my number 7, 2003, House of a Thousand Corpses. Rob Zombie. Rob Zombie is a genre all to himself. He loves 1970s exploitation horror. That's absolutely evident in all his movies. They're very gritty. They're very grungy. They're laced with sex and nudity and violence and profanity. He has his own genre called Hellbilly, named after his album, the same name. And that's literally his movies. They're very gritty. He's done House of the Thousand Corpses was the first one in the Firefly trilogy, which includes Devil's Rejects and Three from Hell. And then he also did the reboots of the Halloween series. Very gritty, very different take on it. I love Rob Zombie movies. I absolutely love them. But they're not
soundtrack was so good on that.
they're
I'm
not
gonna
safe for work.
Yes, I'm gonna see if there has to be Night of a Thousand Corpses soundtrack available. I'm gonna see if it's on YouTube.
Yep.
Because if I remember right, that was just a kick-ass soundtrack.
Oh, it was. It was all metal.
Yeah.
But Rob Zombie, if you're a fan of his music videos, you will love his movies. But I'm a huge fan.
Awesome. Number 6, The Shining. So Oh, here's one of my bugaboos. The little girls in the hallway that got me. Just hey, little
Yeah.
boy. It's the little girls in the hallway that got me. Here's Johnny and crash into, and then the chase through the frozen maze, and yes, cool. And the whole premise of the show, that was it or was it not all in his head, and
Yeah. Or
the
whose
limits
head was
of
it in? There's a
mental
theory
illness.
it was actually all in his wife's head.
Wait a sec. Hold on. I have to
There's a
process
theory.
that.
There's a video on YouTube of a guy that breaks down
Son of a
differences in
bitch.
shots.
Yeah.
About a rug being there, not being there, the placing of a can of Kool-Aid, because that's what it sounds weird what I'm saying, but he has the theory that it's all in his wife's head, that Jack is actually perfectly normal and she is schizophrenic and having hallucinations, and she's
Dude.
actually, it's all happening in her head. And then,
That's
of
a
course,
YouTube video. Guy breaks it down.
yeah, look up the Mary theory on The Shining.
Mary?
Or the wife theory on The
Wife,
Shining.
yeah.
I think her name was Mary.
Yeah. Shining wife theory. All right.
But have you seen the sequel,
that's my
Dr.
number 7.
Sleep?
I mean,
Dr.
that's my
Sleep.
number 6.
The sequel, Dr. Sleep, is really good too.
Oh, okay.
Just throw that out there.
Your number 6.
Misery, 1990. Also Stephen King.
That's the other one. Then when you mentioned it, I was like, damn it, that should have been on my list too. It's the book even more so.
Yep. Another Stephen King classic, psychological horror. Kathy Bates, even though she's more known now for comedy than anything, she did a great job in both Misery and there was another book she did, Dolores Claiborne, that was another Stephen King adaptation where she just plays a crazy woman and does a great job. Classic.
I'm sorry, but it's for the best.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. And it shows the ankles go snap.
I know.
Fuck, man. Oh, sorry. We haven't said the R word. When we were talking about sexual assault, I was being very careful not to say the R word. I want to keep you monetized.
It's fine.
So number 5? No.
You're
number 5.
Yeah.
Okay. This one really should be higher on the list even. It's number 5, but I love John Cusack, and that's not the reason I love this. It's just a great horror movie. Room 1408. And you've been pulling out some obscure ones, and this one's fairly obscure. I bet a lot of your viewers haven't seen Room 1408. Totally holds up. Totally go and watch it immediately. If I'm going to recommend any of these, Room 1408, John Cusack. It's just a mental, almost cussed again. It's just a mental screw with your head. You've seen that one, Tracy?
Yes, I've only seen it once, but yes, I have. I'll have to go back and rewatch it.
Yes.
I also love John. I love John and Joan Cusack, so anything with them.
They've been in some together. Grosse
16
Point
Candles.
Blank is awesome.
Yeah, 16 Candles. They were in it together.
Oh, that's right. Grosse Point
was
Blank. He's an assassin, and she's his secretary. But
Yep.
and she's got better lines than he does, though. Yeah, it was
In
great.
16 Candles, she was the girl that had had hurt her neck, and she had that big neck piece on, and would try to drink out the water. That was her.
And the
Yeah.
braces too, right?
Yeah.
That's right. Crazy.
Number 5 for me is 1982's Creepshow. Also, I believe a
Ooh.
Stephen King adaptation, but was directed by George Romero from Night of the Living Dead. Great anthology horror series. Like Cat's Eye. Great anthology. It has like 4 different stories.
Do you know the backstory on that? Someone
No, I
actually died on the filming of it?
No,
when they were
I didn't
filming
know.
the guy on the airplane. I think when they were filming the stuntman that was that you remember in the movie, there was a guy out on the airplane wing. They're looking out the window. I think that stuntman died from making that scene.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Yeah, I like those anthologies. Where did they go? Stephen King needs to boot up some of those.
Well, he needs to do some more short stories. I mean, those all came from his short stories.
Yeah.
Cat's Eye, Creepshow.
And that's a great way to put them all
Children of
together.
the Corn was a short story, but look how many movies they scratched out of it.
Uh-huh. And then The Stand. I don't know if it was a huge book, and they turned it into a multi-part made-for-television series.
Like a 10-hour, basically a 10-hour limited series.
Ordeal, but it was worth it. It was a great one.
Absolutely.
Number 4, Poltergeist. Just so well written. It still stands up, still holds up. And it's one of those, if I had to recommend a film, like if your kids are about that age where they can start watching some heavy movies, you start with Poltergeist. Make sure they're old enough so that you don't scar them like me and my family.
That will scar you. You don't see snow on television anymore, but snow on television used to flip me out because of Poltergeist and because of Ring. The snow
Ring,
that would flip me out, but you don't even see that anymore.
Yeah. That's a good first movie to introduce your kids to some good horror.
Yep, absolutely.
That's my number 4.
My number 4 is the original Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984. Just because that was before the series turned campy. I love the entire series, but the original was actually stupid scary. It was a slow build. For the first 30 minutes, you really thought these kids were just having some sort of group psychosis, and then you get into the whole backstory of Freddy being a child abuser and killer that the parents killed, and now he's back for revenge, and it's just a very, very creepy story. And then of course you have Heather Langenkamp, which is one of my favorites. She actually does special effects now on horror films. Ever since she left acting, and of course Johnny Depp, his very first role, and
that was his very first role.
Very first credited role.
Wow. You know what? I totally agree with all that. But if you think about the old philosophical brain in a vat, like, is this a simulation? Is it not? The Matrix, the 13th floor, and everyone's doing. Everyone's doing that simulation kind of trope now. But it might all go back to Friday the 13th. Like, your dreams are kind of a simulation, and is it real life? And can what happens in your dreams affect you in real life? And it all could be maybe traced back to the Matrix and all these. Brain in a vat, it could all be traced back to. It was the first time we were like, ooh, he can get in your dreams, and then that becomes real. What?
And then if you see, of course, it also came out that Heather Langenkamp's character, Nancy, discovered that if she could grab him in her dream, she could pull him into reality so that they could kill him. And that was the most terrifying part.
Shit.
She actually chose to be a sacrifice to go in and try to pull him out so that her and Glenn could try to kill him. But Glenn fell asleep and ended up getting killed.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Number 3, Alien. Sigourney Weaver is just a master. And Aliens, the part 2 holds up. Was there any other sequels? I've heard.
Well, there's the Alien versus Predator series.
Shit. It's shit.
Yeah. Predator was good. Alien and Aliens were good. Predator 1, Predator 2 was good, but they should never have crossed them over.
Well, they can't. They feel free.
They own them both.
Don't watch it.
They own both franchises.
If there's a market for it, sure. But Aliens, it's one of those times the sequel is as good, maybe even better. No, I don't know if it's better, but it's as good as the original. But you can't go wrong with Alien.
Excellent.
And if some of your younger viewers, you have to go back and watch that one. It totally holds up. And you probably know what's going to happen because a lot of it is,
it's pop culture. It's
in our pop culture now.
Much. The whole, when it comes out of his stomach and attacks the face, that's been in so many TV shows. So many
Spaceballs. Hello, my baby. Hello, my darling.
Even Grey's Anatomy, the main character, she was she had to be hospitalized for a appendicitis or something, and she was like. They were all in her room, and she was telling them about she watched Alien for the first time, and she was describing that whole scene. So it's in just everywhere.
Yeah, it's still worth watching.
Oh yeah.
And your number?
My number 3 is Scream from 1996. The one that changed horror forever. the one that ushered in the whole 1990s teen horror, Wes Craven again. It was meta. It knew it was a horror film. It knew that horror films were campy, and it was just great. And I loved it. I mean, not much more I can say about it. And Skeet Ulrich, Matthew Lillard, who played Stu, absolutely the best thing about that movie, overacting to the hilt. He was the one that was like, "It's a scream, baby!" Just absolutely stole that movie. Yeah.
Yes, he's been in a couple other things too. Yeah, I see the face
Serial
now.
Mom. He's in a TV show now too, I think.
Yep. You know, he tried to steal my girlfriend away from me, but I still like Wes Craven.
Oh yeah, great.
Let's see. Number 2. Okay, you said no Hitchcock, so
No,
we'll just skip
no.
right
I said I
on over
didn't include
Psycho.
it. I didn't say. I said I chose not to include.
I know.
Because it would have
Yeah.
taken up so much of my list. We would have just
Yes.
had a repeat of the other video we did.
Psycho, just again, where was it? American Psycho, way down at the bottom of my list, but any psychopathy, just a misfiring of the brain, and of course the classic shower scene. All the things that would scare you didn't really. What really scared me was that mother reveal they caught me. I was young at the time. I don't know. I'm naive. I might not have caught on. Even now as an adult, but when they turn the chair around and the mother, the entire movie, you think, if I remember right, the entire movie, you think she's alive, and she just, he's behind her and she's talking to him, but it was all in his head. Just misfiring of just a few synapses. What could happen? It's scary to think about.
What I find interesting is the controversy around that movie. How people say it's transgender representation to horror, how it makes transgender. And I said, well, first of all, I got into an argument with another horror film fan about that. I'm like, well, first of all, Norman Bates isn't transgender. You're conflating two totally different things. He's insane. He's insane. He dresses in drag, but he's not a transgender. He doesn't consider himself a woman. He thinks he's becoming his own mother. He's psychotic. Yes. You could say a better representation would be mental health representation in horror, mentally ill representation in horror, not transgender. He's not transgender. Two totally different things. Herbert
Hoover, the guy who founded FBI, he was a transvestite, but he was in no way transgender or had any kind of gender dysphoria. He was he identified as a male, but he liked to dress in women's clothes. Yeah,
like I used to manage a gay bar for many years in Nashville, and we had an organization known as the Tennessee Vows, play on the Tennessee Vols, that used to come in, and they were straight men, cis straight men that like to dress in women's clothing. And I always, it was actually a good friend of mine that is transgender. I asked, what's the difference? She goes, well, transgender means you actually feel that you're the wrong sex, biological sex, and you're transitioning. She says, with transvestite vest, you can take off a vest. That's how you keep them apart. Transvestite is somebody that just likes to dress in women's clothing.
Well, I speak Spanish. Vestir is to dress yourself. Vestirse. So that's it's easy for me to remember.
So if anything, if Norman Bates is anything other than insane, he's a transvestite. He's not transgender.
Yeah, but this is totally in line with your entire channel. Just how a small misfiring in your synapses how fragile our bodies are, especially the brain. And it doesn't take a ball peen hammer and hit, and if someone hits you in the head just in the right spot with just enough force. There's studies on. I've seen studies where traumatic brain injury, just in a specific point, and you will forget who you are. You will know you can know numbers, but you don't know what the word math means, and just how your brain can misfire.
Yep.
Crazy.
And for those of I thought I was misgendering a transgender friend by saying he was female to male, so I was not misgendering him. He did identify as a male, so I know I said he. I didn't want anybody to get the idea I was misgendering anyone.
Is your fan base as far left as mine? Are you trying to be very careful right now?
No, but I don't, mine is all over the place. I have very religious people, very conservative people. I have moderates. I have people that are far left, libertarians. I have
Mhm.
people from other countries, a lot of UK and Canada.
Yeah.
So no, I don't necessarily try to be careful in this so much as I try not to be political at all if I could help it. But
Oh gosh.
I didn't want to think anybody. I don't want to offend anyone because I do believe that I'm a cis person. I don't necessarily understand transgenderism. I'll put that out there, but I don't need to understand it
You
because I'm
understand
not
that
going
it
to.
exists.
That it exists and they're humans and they deserve
Yeah.
respect.
Right on.
So I don't want to be an asshole.
Yeah.
If you want me to call you something, that's what I'm gonna call you. That's my whole attitude on it.
You have the luxury of being able to avoid socio-political topics with keto and crime because it's just diet and it's
True crime and
true crime.
history. Yeah.
Religion is almost intrinsically tied to I can't get away from
Yeah.
sociopolitics. It comes up all too often, so I have to be on it. Your number two.
Two. Gonna laugh. This is just because of the campiness of it. A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. It is the gay one because it is very homoerotic. The final girl is a final guy. It's a male scream queen. It's the first ever portrait, the first ever representation. It's usually a final girl, a scream queen. It's a final guy. He's a scream queen. He was a closeted gay man that people suspected of being gay because of how he had to act in the movie. And there's a whole documentary of how he felt it ruined his life and ruined his career. I actually feel kind of guilty loving that movie, but it is so campy. Freddy is still evil in it. He hasn't gone campy himself, but the whole movie is just camp. I can't explain it, but also the fact that it's a male scream queen just really. And I'm not saying queen because he's gay. I'm saying that that's the trope, scream queen. And it's the first, and this is the early 80s, so a male scream queen, totally unheard of. And I think it's groundbreaking for that.
You like your Nightmare on Elm Streets.
And Friday
You're
the
gonna force me
13th,
to
yeah.
go back and maybe review those, give them another chance.
The best
Totally not
ones, you can skip number 2. It doesn't really belong in the series, but it's good. 1, 3, and then 1,
What's
3.
that? Part 7. There was a part. That was the Jason ones.
Yeah. 1.
Yeah.
For Nightmare on Elm Street, if you really want the best representation of it, in my opinion, you can throw out everything but the first one, the third one.
First one was.
Yeah. And
first one was damn good.
Do the first one, the third one, and then Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Watch them in that order. Part 1, Part 3, New Nightmare. That is the best trilogy ever. You can throw everything else out. Everything else is just camp, fun, but those 3 are actually scary, in my opinion. And those are the best ones to watch.
I got so many movies to watch. Dang.
But Nightmare on Elm Street 1, 3, and then New Nightmare. Watch those, and you've got the best representation.
Number 1, Sixth Sense. I got a few things to say about this, and you know what? Since I, as an afterthought, the others should have totally made my list. So the Sixth Sense and the others, I'll kind of lump them together because I just love. I mean, I can't get enough of them, and they're so rare in Hollywood. Is the oh my god twist endings? The like, oh shit! And that's
didn't see that coming.
Yes, that's maybe one of the main reasons I like The Matrix and why it stuck with me and became my favorite movie. Is when Neo wakes up in that pod, I was like, oh shit, no, I did not see it. So The Sixth Sense, and I am so naive. After I watched it, I made my family watch it. My mom is freaking brilliant. That's where I got my 138 IQ for sure. Because 10 minutes into the movie, she's like, oh, spoiler alert, everybody. 10 minutes into the movie, she's like, Yeah, Bruce Willis is dead now, isn't he? I was like, damn it.
Because if you look back, if you watch it the second time, all the clues are there. Him getting shot,
Oh
his
yeah,
wedding ring
second time you
missing.
like,
Uh,
and
yeah,
it didn't dawn on me until his wife breathed out the coldness and dropped
yeah,
the ring. When
yeah.
that's when everyone's supposed to catch on, and I'm an idiot. But
Well,
man, it
another
was
M. Night Shyamalan's great. I don't like all his
nope.
movies,
He
but
sucks. That's his
they're
only good movie.
no. I like The Village. A lot of people think that that's
Sucked.
campy, terrible, but I liked
And
it because
Signs.
I like gothic horror. I
Okay.
like The Witch. It's not on my list, but it should be. It's an honorable mention. It's like a witch is haunting this Puritan family that was exiled from their village because the father was preaching heresy, which actually would be right up your alley, that type of movie. And then this actual witch is trying to groom the oldest daughter,
What's this
and
called?
the witch.
The Witch.
But see, the village
Oh.
is kind of that same feel. It's just campy. And then the whole twist, I thought it was literally like the 1600s. And then boom, it's in modern times.
Not it was a twist, and I went, oh, interesting. It didn't do anything close to what Sixth Sense did to me. And yeah, Shyamalan he has got we see it. He's got the potential to do something great. Or is that now I'm starting to think every other
Not
I just
everything
hated
has
it.
to have a twist, M. Night. Not everything has to have a twist. You can
Okay,
just do a
but
straightforward
damn,
horror movie.
sure. But if it has a twist, it
It's even
instantly
better.
becomes one of my favorites. It's, and I don't know, it had to have been a flash in the pan because I thoroughly hated everything else he's ever done. And add into the fact that, like John Edwards, he actually he has a cult following, literally outside the front gates of his mansion that camp there in tents. That just to get a view, just to touch him, to get a view of him, he really thinks he has the gift, and that just, as a host of Atheist Edge, that sickens me.
Yeah. Hey, Jim, here we go. All right. And my number one, and this was a hard decision, have another honorable mention I want to mention, because, and I only disqualified it is because I don't think it's true horror, but I do want to mention it because it will scare the living daylights out of you. But my actual number one within the horror genre is Candyman from 1992. Another Clive Barker. Very well done. It takes the urban legend trope, and Tony Todd's in it. Just absolutely wonderful, great. Also has a lot to do with bees, and that scares the living daylights maybe what they do with bees. But Candyman is a definite watch for everyone. And then my honorable mention, I didn't do it because I didn't think that it was true horror, but it might fit into that exploitation horror that we were talking about. But it's kind of a day after movie of what could happen if nuclear war ever happens. And it's a British film from 1984 called Threads. And it is the most scary depiction of a thermonuclear exchange that I've ever seen.
You're gonna hate me, but I have never seen Candyman,
and it will scare the living daylights out of you.
So I need to watch Candyman. Huh? I've never seen it.
Yeah, it's good.
I don't even know what it's about. Okay, it's a Clive Barker. Oh, so it's gonna be. Did he do Hellraiser?
He did Hellraiser.
He's got a twisted freaking. He's twisted.
Yeah.
The guy's twisted.
Hellraiser. He did The People Under the Stairs. He did.
That was another crazy one.
The Nightbreed.
You say that, like that nuclear war one. I was on In Time with Nicholas Suter on his show. Well, by the time you see this, but it was last night, and we were talking about it was the China's got a new some new technology, and everyone was wondering how much of a threat it was, and they were scaring the socks off of me again. It was like the old times. You're old enough to remember the get under the desk drills in grade school, and bomb
like
drills.
Those were going to help. Like those were going to
exactly. But yeah, I can see how that. It doesn't have to be scary in the classic horror sense. I mean, is it called a horror? Maybe it doesn't fit that genre. But if it scared you, There's lots of ways to be scared. That's why I put Matrix on there. Mad Max could be on there. Think about it. Mad Max could totally, if the idea of anything scares you, it should be on there.
Mad Max, the Road Warrior, the original, that scene where the gang runs down his wife and baby, and you just see the bottle and the toys rolling, that burnt itself into my psyche.
Have you seen the newest one?
Yeah, I did.
You didn't like it? I loved it.
No. I tried.
Oh, shit.
I really tried.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. It opened up some new facets to the franchise.
The only remake that I really enjoyed of any of my favorites as a child would be, well, Dawn of the Dead, because that one's really well done. And honestly, Friday the 13th, the 2009 remake, was great. It took the story from the original first 3 movies and compressed them into a 2-hour movie. And they did a really good job on it and put a different spin on it. It was really good. That's the only one. And I wish they had, they said they stopped because they were true fans of the franchise and didn't want it to get campy again, because it got all the way to like number 10 and was super campy. And so they took what they thought were the best 3 in the series, 1, 2, and 3, and they just readapted them for a new audience and stopped. So I have to respect that.
I know there's got to be some, but I can't think of any where the remake is better. There's got to be at least one. I watched Total Recall with Colin Farrell, the remake, and not even close.
Really?
I can't think of one where the remake was better. Ghostbusters. See, they're all just trash if they try to remake them.
I had no problem with the premise of that movie, but it was just not well done. I mean,
it was the writing, because those are funny women.
They are. They had a terrible script.
It was the writing.
But I would have much rather, I would always think that, to me, if they're going to remake something like Ghostbusters, the way I would write it, I enjoyed Ghostbusters 2 as well. I thought it was very, very well done. What I would have done is have the baby in that movie, Oscar, grow up and take on Bill Murray's role as the head Ghostbuster.
Yeah.
And also,
that could be cool.
You could have female Ghostbusters. There's nothing wrong with female Ghostbusters, but I think absolutely, I encourage that.
But that would be a sequel, not a remake, though.
It would
I'm
be
thinking
a sequel.
Name one remake that's better than the original. I'm hard pressed to do it.
Yeah, I can't think of any.
There's got to be some. Candyman, huh? Okay, that's what I'm starting with, since it's number 1 on your list. And I have never seen it.
And the new Candyman that just came out is a direct sequel to that. There was 2 other Candyman movies that were trash. Just don't even.
Okay, what year is the Candyman I'm looking for?
1992. It's the original.
All right.
And then the new one, the new Candyman, just came out this year or last year.
And you said that was way worse.
That was a direct sequel to the original,
okay.
so the one you're going to watch. And I've heard it's good. I have not seen it yet, but I've heard it's really good.
Awesome, Tracy. I knew this was going to be fun, but boy, this was really fun.
It was really fun. We need
to find another way to do something like this again.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, everyone, I'm glad you stuck out. We're going to split this into a couple of parts. So this will be the end of part 2. And until next time, be sure to go over and visit Jim on his channel. If you're not into atheist stuff, he also has a brand new series where he is trying to get himself back into shape by playing disc golf. So that's a great series you can check out. I'll link one of his first videos in that series right up here. So go check him out. Even if you're not into atheist content, that could be good. And I need to get myself onto getting back in shape. I gained so much weight during COVID, and I'll get back on keto and it'll go fine for a few days, and then I'll start craving something sweet. I'm off the wagon. I've just got to put myself in that mindset. Maybe you and I should challenge each other to lose X amount of pounds.
That would be phenomenal. I would love that.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. And if we do that, I'll document my series right alongside his disc golf series.
Awesome.
All right. Well, until next time, everyone. Keto Krime out.
Shit, fuck, cock, stick a finger in my ass.